Before we start, here's a quick guide from Lord Garbelius. Please drop down in the description, give him your support, jump on his Patreon, check him out. Really good stuff. Thank you, Lord Garbelius. What's up, everybody? Soul here with another sort of Convallaria video, and today we're going to be taking a deeper look at our girl, Luvata. She is here. She is hot and on fire. Her abilities are pretty insane. I love the amount of damage she can do, damage over time, AoE. She's got versatility in her kit. Like, she's just a lot, and it's really, really fun. So without any further ado, let's get right into it, and let's take a look at her trait. So her traits right here, as you can see, Firebird and Nirvana. This increases our magic attack by 5% when dealing crit damage and inflicts 1 stack of ignition on the target, lasting for 2 turns, and can be triggered 1 time per round. And so that ignition, as you know, is life loss. At the end of the turn, they lose HP based on her magic attack, and it's 25% of her magic and physical attack. Sorry, not just magical attack. At the start of the battle, she grants all allies in battle immunity to burn tiles. That's massive. So, really, really good stuff there. All allies become immune to burn tiles is really good. They also become immune to scorch, according to this, and from what I've seen, that's accurate. Can't beat it. Now, as you're ranking this up, not only is her magic attack going to go up here at 2 stars, it goes up 10%, but you're also now getting crit each time you use a fire skill. So she's going to get that crit 1, it's 2 stars. At 3 stars, she gets crit 2, which is 30%. More likely to cast a crit. And then right here at 4 stars, that ignition, 1 stack of ignition on a target lasts for 2 turns, can be triggered up to 3 times per round. That also gets a nice little increase instead of just being 2 times per round. So now we're up to 3 times per round. We get that ignition, which is a great debuff, great damage over time on her. It does a portion of her physical and magic damage to the opponent. And then you're also getting crit 2, but you're also getting that crit damage 1. And then at 5 stars, it all kind of just goes hard. Now ignition can be triggered up to 4 times per round, which is huge. And then she's getting crit 3 and crit damage 3 by 45%. That's 3 on each of those. That's massive. So she's going to be a monster at 5 stars, absolutely changing in her ability to do some really big damage. Now let's take a look at her ranks. Now this is a character, in my opinion, who wants a lot of Castalia. And so she, if you want to use her as in versatility, if you don't care to use her as a versatile unit and you just want her to be a damage dealer, which is what I think she is at her core, 110%, then yeah, you don't need a whole lot of Castalia at all. So let's go through it. At rank 1, on the left, we've got Blazing Heat. It's a passive at the turn and inflicts Scorch on 1 random injured enemy within 3 tiles of the character, lasting for 2 turns. That right there makes it not worth. Casting Scorch on 1 random injured enemy definitely makes it not worth. There's too many good abilities that she has. This just is not worth your time. So on the right is what I'd suggest you pick up. It's her unique ability, Ribbit. It's a debuff and it's an instant, and it transforms the target into a cursed frog for 1 turn. The target will return to normal at the start of their following turn. And so cursed frog cannot be used on characters immune to bound. Understood. Cursed frog trait. Movement is fixed to 1 tile, and they're immune to buffs and debuffs, knockback and teleportation, and does not take any damage. So it's more or less just a soft, nerf to that opponent, stopping them from being able to take any kind of traumatic actions. They still will do a basic attack, but it's not a huge deal. You're more or less just stopping them from having too much ability. I can't think of too many times it's going to have a tremendous amount of utility outside of PvP, but I'm eager to see some of those opportunities arise, and let's see what happens. Who knows? But yeah, this is what I'd suggest you get at rank 1. Now at rank 3, you have Fiery Determination up here on the right. It's a passive, and when on a burning tile, her attack is increased by 20%, and at the end of the turn, it forces a character tile to become a burning tile if it's not already. That's pretty decent. I would like this a lot if she didn't already have so many things that I want on the board, and so this is a really good ability right here, but I would highly suggest you take what's on the left, and that's Leaping Flames, another passive. When attacking an enemy with Scorch, your crit increases by 20%. When attacking an enemy with Ignition, your crit damage increases by 20%. Upon defeating an enemy with Scorch, it deals 60% fire AoE damage to all enemies within 2 tiles of the target and inflicts Ignition again. So let's not forget that she's already inflicting a lot of Ignition and Scorch on her opponents. Them just being on a fire tile gives them that Scorch, and then she's inflicting Ignition through various means. And so it's really, really a big deal. Anytime she gets crit damage, there's a stack of Ignition. Mind you, it's only 1 time per round on the low star, but get up to high star, remember it gets all the way up to 4 times per round that she can inflict that Ignition, and the stacks just get crazy. So back to this, for you to be able to take advantage of that and do bonus damage based on those things is really, really big, especially with her AoE, which we'll talk about later. Now at rank 5, you have 2 choices here. On the right, you got Fire Walking. She becomes immune to Scorch and Burning tiles. When on a burning tile, the damage taken is decreased by 10%, and at the end of the turn, she recovers 20% of the character's HP. And so she's already immune to that Scorch and Burning. Regardless, she's getting that damage resistance, that minus 10% damage taken, and then she's getting 20% HP back. This is fantastic. This is one of those niche reactions where you want her to have this if you're using her to have a lot of mobility. Go in, maybe put her in risky spots where she takes those hits. You do have an instant ability we'll talk about in a minute. It gives you some mobility there. And so this does have some utility, but for the most part, I didn't really care to use it in comparison to this, which is Wall of Ember. This is a reaction. Before receiving a single target physical or single target magical attack, remember it has to be single target, if the character is on a burning tile, it performs Preempt and absorbs the burning tile and gains a shield of damage type corresponding to 100% of the character's magic attack for 2 turns. So this is a lot right here. It's kind of confusing in the way it's worded. But if you take physical damage, you're going to get a physical shield. If you take magical damage, you're going to get a magical shield. But either way, it's going to be 100% of the character's magic attack, assuming that she is standing on a burning tile. If she's not on a burning tile, these things are not going to be triggered. Nothing happens. So take note of that. Very, very important. Try to keep her on those burning tiles as best as possible. At rank 7, you have Energy Restoration over here on the right. And so this is a passive. At the end of the turn, she recovers 1 additional energy. If the energy is less than 1, she recovers another 1 energy. So this has her just basically regain all of her energy on those big casts. And yeah, fairly decent ability. I didn't think it was overly useful. I couldn't think of too many times where I was just desperate for energy. A lot of times our team comps already have units that give us that extra energy. And so I can see this being beneficial if you're just wanting to slam out lots and lots of AoE over and over again, and that's your goal. However, I didn't think that this was necessary after testing it. I would suggest you get on the left right here, which is Fire Wings of Freedom. This is a support instant. The character teleports to any burning tile and deals 50% fire magical damage to all enemies within 1 tile radius of the character. The tile within range are forcibly turned into burning. And so what it doesn't clarify in here is that this is a 2 cast. So this is an instant. You're going to cast it to go in on a fire tile and a move. You get a second charge. You use this twice before it goes into its recast. In fact, if you use it on turn, say 1, and then you don't use it again within that same turn 1, it goes into turn 2 with that cast still active, and that recast timer still ticks down. Really, really nice. So it's a get in, nuke, hit hard, get out, basically. A lot of utility there. This is a fantastic ability. I would highly urge you to pick it up for some extra versatility and so on in your build. At rank 9, you have Scorching Attack. It's a basic attack, deals 80% magical damage, and then of course inflicts that Scorch. I wouldn't suggest you pick this up. I'd definitely suggest you pick up Fiery Wings. Single target attack deals 90% fire magical damage to the target and forcibly changes the tile to burning. That being the big outlier here. We absolutely want this. It's one thing to be able to scorch your opponents, and that's fantastic, but just turn the tile into burning, and then they're going to get scorched anyways. So this is what I'd urge you to pick up. And then at rank 11, here's the big one. On the right, you have Meteor Flame. So this is a 4 cost with no cooldown. Select the target tile. If there is no burning tile within 3 tiles of the target, it deals 70% fire AoE damage to all enemies within range, forcibly turning the center tile and the tiles are in a 1 tile radius around it burning. If there is a burning tile, it increases damage dealt to all enemies within range by 140% and absorbs the burning tiles. So I've tested this in comparison to the other. It lacks in its ability to hit hard, and it also is taking away burning tiles. So for me, I did not enjoy using this nearly as much as the other, and so I would not urge you to pick this up. I would suggest you to pick up on the other one. However, if you are interested in having options and some versatility, there's nothing wrong with picking this up. If there's no burning tiles, it will create a nice square of burning tiles. Regardless, I would suggest picking up the other one for more consistent damage. And that is right here on the left, Fiery Wings, Nirvana, and Flames. Now, there's a 5 energy cost on this, and that's massive, with no cooldown. However, it selects a random enemy within 2 tiles of the target and attacks 6 times. Each attack deals 20% AoE damage to all enemies within 1 tile of the target range, and the first 3 attacks inflict Scorch for 2 turns, dealing damage if there is a burning tile within 2 tiles of the initially selected target tile, absorbing it and additionally inflicting 1 tile of ignition for 2 turns after the first 3 attacks deal damage. Whoa, that is a lot of information. However, what you're doing is you're triggering multiple hits and triggering multiple stacks of Scorch and or Ignition. Of course, Ignition being the goal here. That's what makes this ability so powerful, in my opinion, is all of those opportunities to get Ignition triggered, because each individual hit has a chance to crit and can do its own thing to help get those ignitions out amongst things. There's just so much going on here. Test this on the boss. We came out turn 1. It's literally 5 stacks of ignition on the boss. Really, really big right here. So this is important. I think this is the better of the 2 AoEs for that reason. There's nothing wrong with the other AoE as far as its ability to do damage and do it well. It has a similar mechanic where it's taking away those scorched tiles. However, I prefer this. Now, let's say you're doing a level like, you know, that level on Tower Adversity where you just have huge mobs of enemies coming at you. This ability might not be better than the other. Now, each individual hit's blowing up and doing its own AoE damage, but I'd have to test it. It might be better just to hit them with one big wallop of an attack at once. I'm not sure. So you have 2 choices here. This is where you might want to use Castalia, if anywhere. And yeah, I would consider carefully your options, but I personally suggest going on the left with Fiery Wings. And then lastly, let's talk about her innate ability. This is a really big one right here. It's a 1 energy cost, massive. It is a cross shape AoE. It selects a target tile and deals 80% fire damage AoE to all enemies within 1 tile, inflicting 1 stack of ignition. It forces the tile to become burning tiles, and the character gains attack 1 and meditation. All effects last for 2 turns. And here's the beautiful thing here is this meditation. Okay. Meditation, we've seen this before with Tear, restores 1 energy at the start of the turn. This is fantastic. Getting that 1 energy back at the start of turn is huge. Being able to get that extra energy really, really helps her stay on her grind and dealing damage. So, those are her abilities. Let's talk about how to build her. For me, first and foremost, is the attack build where she's dealing damage. This is exactly how I like to set her up. I like to have Fiery Wings, Wall of Ember, Fiery Wings Nirvana, in Flames, Leaping Flames, and then Searing Gaze. Damage is do as many hits as possible, get all the crits out, and get all the stacks of Ignition and Scorch that we can. Really, really a big deal. For a weapon, we're rocking the Nirvana. I did go back and get it. I wanted to try it, and I'm not disappointed. It's a huge thing for her. Really, really big part of her A part of her mechanic is to have those burning tiles, and this absolutely helps get it done. So this is a fantastic choice. And then I got that roaring flint on her, and we are rocking that resonance of the wand in the cup, where you have engraving resonance with a 50% chance to get your cooldown reset and your energy back. I really liked it. I've played with a couple different ones. This is the one that I enjoyed the most. And then that, like I said, that roar flint also is really big because that prairie fire, that instant to create that extra fire damage and get that piercing damage out as well. It's a nice big AoE fire, really good. If you can get your roaring flint up high, if you even have a roaring flint, I know it's really rare. If you can't get a roaring flint, a really good substitute for me, of course, is that Origin Hourglass. And then moving on to the Terror Whisper, I would definitely suggest Verdict of Justice. It just goes without doubt. You absolutely want her to crit, and you want her to crit harder with that hidden effect, extra crit damage. So this is, in my opinion, her absolute best in slot Terror Whisper. If you want to go for extra damage in AoE, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's as good, in my opinion. I would highly urge you to go with that Verdict of Justice, but another good option is that Course of Fortune. Now, another build that I have for her is where she's going in, she's getting into the fray and doing a little extra damage, and has a lot more utility on the battlefield, in my opinion, as far as zoning controlling opponents. And in this one, we're utilizing Fiery Wings, that Wall of Ember yet again, but this time we're picked up Fiery Wings of Freedom, so she has that mobility and that instant cast to go in and out of those tight spots, or right next to those opponents, and able to hit them hard with various things. And of course that has its own AoE damage, take note of that. We go in with Leaping Flames, and we have that Searing Gaze, where she's, of course, you know, hitting them consistently every turn. It only costs 1 energy. She's getting that meditation and attack up 1. This, of course, will leave you with an overabundance of energy. Regardless, you're still going to be doing a decent amount of damage and getting those AoEs out, turning those tiles into fire, zoning and controlling those opponents, and then zipping in and out of them, doing extra damage right here with the Fiery Wings. Really fun, interesting way to play with great utility. And of course, we have that Nirvana as our weapon. If you don't have Nirvana, of course, Diffusing Prism is what I would urge you to get. And then another great solid choice, especially in this build, is to go Starry Sky Heritage for that extra HP to make sure she survives. I switched out the Roaring Flint on this build and used Shield of Justice with that Wand and Pinnacle Resonance so that we decrease physical damage taken, because she will take those hits, getting in and out of those crowds, trying to zip around and do her thing. She will occasionally get hit by something, so that really helps. And then having that shield also gives her a nice little buff and amount of damage she's doing. And then, of course, once again, Terror Whisper, Verdict of Justice, best in slot, hands down, no debate in my opinion. That's what I think. So, with all that said, let's take a look at her in battle. So, right here we have Tower 95. She has some pretty great synergy with quite a few units. I put her with these units, just kind of playing through it and checking everything out. I really like her getting an extra crit from Hasna, the extra fire from Beryl and from Miguel, and then of course I love that cooldown and extra energy with the crit and crit damage from Coco. Had a ton of fun here. This is not what she's limited to as far as those synergies, but I really enjoyed using these units with her. So we're coming up, we're creating those fire tiles. We're kind of limited to the carpet for the most part. There's a few abilities that go beyond that and set fire regardless. Look at that, he just gets shredded walking forward. Hasna goes up. We want that hidden fragrance on everyone, increasing those crit chances and lowering their defense and attack. Beryl's just creating fire. That's literally her role on this team. And Miguel does a lot of the same too. Getting those debuffs out and creating fire on everyone. We step up, we increase the damage of our girl Luvata, and let her do her thing. She's just creating fires, getting things prepped. Good burn there. They're getting shredded just for existing. Get that boom out from Beryl. They brought their own barrel. It's okay. We come up with Mourner, making sure everything's good and on fire. We want them to all have that Scorch on them so that we're doing the most damage we can, getting those ignitions out. Look at Titen, just ate up. Not a chance. Fantastic stuff. Walking to the fire, get that roaring flint out, and big AoE. Fantastic stuff there. What didn't work and kill them there with the hits will absolutely get them afterwards with the damage over time. In fact, can't check it's out of our turn. Let's check it here. It's his turn. He doesn't finish them. Let's go ahead and check. So as we see right here, we have 6 stacks of damage over time. Yeah, those are stacks. But regardless, we have ignition twice and then scorch on here. And so I said 6 stacks in total. We really have 3 different damage over times on them. So forgive me, 2 stacks each. It doesn't do bonus damage on the stacks. It's just a timer that ticks down. Regardless, this is what we're doing right here. We got these ignition 2 times. So it's really good damage right there, 50% of her physical and magical attack. And then of course that scorch, which is going to do pure HP damage as well on its own, 10%. He's going to die when he gets his turn, period dot. There's no 2 ways about it. So let's play through it. There's that menu. And he's dead. So yeah, that's Luvata. She will burn you. Muy caliente. So she is fiery, she is fantastic, she has some utility, and she's just a lot of fun to play. I don't think you want her to go in and do a lot of big damage, big hits just all at once, right away, boom. You're not looking for big numbers, you're going to be wowed by it. What you're looking for is that damage over time. It's kind of similar to Convallaria. She's going to come in, she's going to get those tiles under control, get that zone and control down, really hurt the enemies there, make them hurt themselves and kill themselves trying to get to you, while she kind of teases and plays with them and just keeps them hit with those dots over and over. Ton of fun. Can't say enough good things about her. It has to be stressed, if you're fighting against an enemy that is immune to Scorch, maybe it's Tower of Conquest, Tower of Adversity, whatever it might be, she changes dramatically. You're talking about a unit that doesn't have a lot of utility at all in those fights. So this is very much her mechanic, and it is heavily reliant upon that. And so that is going to be one of her bigger shortfalls in the future, I fear. Regardless, she is a ton of fun as long as that is not the issue. So yeah, a huge thank you to my Patreon members for all the support. Really appreciate y'all. You guys are the ones that allow me to pull for this character. If you're interested in supporting the channel and our efforts, make sure you drop down below and hit that Patreon link and join us. And yeah, there's a link down to our Discord there as well, where we talk about all things Sword of Convallaria and then some. Please feel free to join us there. We'd be glad to have you. And I wish you all the best in your Sword of Convallaria content, adventures, explorations, pulls, you name it. I hope you're having a blast with the game. Make sure you drop me a like and a subscribe, as it's much appreciated. Thank you so much. If you made it this far, I'll catch you later. Bye.